ahead and record it. Okay. So, Cal, here we are, historic levels at the shutdown. Where does this stack up? Have we finally reached the official longest government shutdown in history?
Yeah, I think we reached that today, the 36th day, and there does seem to be some movement toward a resolution. And people talk about late this week, early next week. At some point, it has to end. And it does seem like talks have begun in the US Senate that will lead to an end of the shutdown, but it might not be immediate.
Right. And, there's been a lot of talk about the implications of this as it continues to string along. There's more talk about the flights and the airports. This time around, it seems like the SNAP benefits have been the big discussion here. Has that been, and again, it's still going on, but if it ends relatively soon, has that been the breaking point for this shutdown, the SNAP benefits?
Yeah, I think just the public sense that government is not working puts pressure on both parties. And then you get the struggle to fund the military. And President Trump and the Republicans found the money to do that. And then the courts ordered that SNAP, which used to be called food stamps, should also be funded at least to 50%, if not the full benefits this week and the airports are jamming up, and we have holidays coming, so there's just a lot of pressure building to resolve it. But Republicans are claiming that they want what's called the clean CR, which is just an extension of current spending levels. Democrats say no, we can't do that because at the end of this year, the Obama health care funding is going to run out for millions of people. We want that resolved before we open the government. I think what will happen is that enough Democrats will agree to open the government if Republicans will promise that there'll be a vote on Obamacare subsidies on a date certain, meaning a specific date. They won't get a guarantee that that vote will pass, but they'll get a guarantee that it will occur.
Yeah, and there has been a lot of blame by the Republicans on the Democrats, just in the sense that they have the ability to end this. But at the same time, you hear a lot from the leaders in the Democratic Party of, well, they're not willing to come to the table. So Republicans, apparently, according to the Democratic leadership, aren't willing to sit down and have that healthcare conversation. So are both sides, in a sense, being stubborn as to this is our stance and we're not backing down? I mean, I guess that's what a shutdown is.
Yeah, absolutely. To this point, and we're more than a month in, both sides are still holding to their main positions and their principal talking points. And for Republicans, that simply is that we need to extend spending to reopen the government. And Democrats say, well, we don't want to extend spending because within a couple of months, we're going to have a major end of healthcare subsidies, millions of Americans thrown off their health care. We need to resolve that first. And so far, Republicans are unwilling to give Democrats what they want. Democrats are unwilling to open the government. But the sort of obvious compromise position is we'll agree to reopen the government. You agree to talk to us seriously about extending healthcare subsidies.
And then just last thing, as far as the Trump administration goes, oftentimes President Trump will kind of feel out the public response to things. Well, now the pressure is really starting to ramp up here. Do you think that a government shutdown is a mark on the administration at all? I mean, the last longest shutdown was President Trump as well. Is it something that he seems to care about, or is it almost something that he's willing to take as long as it goes?
Yeah, I think for the first several weeks of this shutdown, President Trump did not involve himself directly. He went about other business that he can control from the White House. Then he went on that long trip to Asia, where he was claiming a number of foreign policy and national security tariff compromise wins. But then once he got back, and we were about a month in, and food stamp funding was running out and airports were clogging up, he became more involved because he's the president of the United States. He can negotiate a conclusion to this by forcing Republicans to give partly and Democrats to give partly as well. So the president has to be involved. The Congress will spin their wheels until he becomes involved and works toward a reconciliation.
So some of these subtle signs, like the president talking, maybe indication that we're getting at least toward the back half of the shutdown.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think next week will be very important. I wouldn't expect a sort of surprise resolution Thursday, Friday of this week, but as we get into next week, there's a lot of pain that is being felt by, the American public, the American economy. And so at some point, people are going to resolve this and each side will claim that they won.
Cal Jillson, as always, appreciate the time.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Cal, thanks.
All right.